Hey and welcome. We're diving back into more X-Files with a look at Blood, episode 3 of season 2. Premiering September 30th, 1994, Blood follows Mulder as he is sent to investigate murders in a small town, committed by seemingly everyday normal people. The episode begins as postal employee Edward Funch, who we're just gonna call Ed, mindlessly inputs what I'm guessing are zip codes, but I'm not sure what numbers he's supposed to be putting in because they aren't the ones shown on the mail here. Poor guy suffers a life-threatening paper cut, and his boss asks to see him in his office. Well, times are tough at the old cracker factory, and Ed, being low man on the totem pole, is being let go.
Look, why don't you stay on till the end of the week?
Now you're fired, but work for the rest of the week. Oh, and the guys managed to scrounge up $100 for you. Ed goes back to work, and I don't know about you, but I think his equipment is trying to tell him something. Well, that's odd. Ed just picked up toilet paper. Either that or it's recommending he listen to Metallica. Now, there's nothing I hate more than a crowded elevator, but what's Liz Taylor doing here? Steve Martin starts getting all paranoid as the no air light comes on. Now this thing is telling him to listen to Metallica too. Mulder arrives on the scene because apparently this guy somehow managed to kill a few people on the elevator, but with what?
Was this damaged during the incident? I'll find out.
I think the guy smashed it because he was more of a Slayer fan, honestly. There appears to be a rash of killings going on in the area, as in the past 6 months, 7 people have killed 22.
Per capita, that's higher than the combined homicide rate of Detroit, DC, and Los Angeles.
I guess those cities are gonna have to bump up their numbers if they want to be number one again. The man was taken down by police, and Mulder asks if drugs could have been involved, but the guy's system was clean. He really should clean under his fingernails though. Mulder bags his hand because as a former hand model, he knows the importance of protecting one's hands.
You're J.B. Pruitt, the world's greatest hand model.
Once upon a time.
Ed is trying to take out some money from the ATM when a little girl behind starts to get a bloody nose, which triggers him for some reason. The ATM then tells him to grab a security guard's gun, but he decides to beat on the machine instead.
Hey, what the hell's wrong with you?
Mulder is going over the recent murder suspects and victims, as they all seem to be everyday normal people who seem to just snap.
There have been reported abductee paranoia and UFO mass abduction cases.
I was wondering when you'd get to that.
I think we were all wondering that, Scully. The only thing seemingly to tie all these cases together is that each one, an electronic device with an LCD screen, is destroyed. A woman is at the mechanics to pick up her car, but why is it so dark in there? I think lights would help to make the car repair process a tad easier, don't you think?
Did you fix it?
It's fixed.
What do I owe you?
I tell ya, fixing that, I found some other problems.
Oh, here it comes with the upcharge. Why does this guy have to be all creepy in the dark while telling a lone woman to come over to him anyways? He tells her to come stand next to him so he can show her something. Yeah, I bet he will.
Over here you got a couple engine mounts that should be replaced.
I don't even know if I can show that word on screen with YouTube censorship. Well, before he can do whatever it is the machine claims he's going to do, the woman takes things into her own hands and takes him out. Do dead bodies generally have heartbeats? Maybe that can be another X-File for Mulder to investigate.
Agent Mulder. Larry Winter, County Supervisor.
Pardon my rubber.
I have no comment. Mulder notices that one of the previous customers had a smashed readout screen, so he believes there to be a connection to the other murders. Mulder, along with the sheriff, go and visit the woman that murdered the mechanic. He asks her if she picked her car up the prior night, and great, now the microwave is telling her to kill people. He asks her why she broke the readout in her dash, and she kinda loses her mind.
Big rubber.
Now, sure, she was shot, but hey, at least she's not dead. I mean, look, her eyes are still twitching. So at this point in the series, Scully is basically just there to slice up bodies for Mulder. She does find more of that compound in the body, though, that was present under the fingernails of one of the previous murderers, and it appears to give off a similar effect to that of LSD. Back with Ed, who's looking all snazzy as he's out job hunting.
Pardon me. I'd like to apply for a job.
Sorry, they're not accepting applications at this time.
Having worked in retail, I wish you could just put up a sign that said "Be back in an hour" as you walk away from customers. And of course, like all stores, you have camping gear, VCRs, and blood drives. Don't worry, Ed, I'm also not a fan of giving blood. Who says TV leads to violence? Mulder is out for a nice run when he notices a strange truck spreading out something. Upon further investigation, however, it looks to be dead or half-dead flies. Well, there's only one group of guys that can help solve this mystery.
Have you ever come across this chemical compound?
LSDM. Obviously you haven't read our August edition of TLG.
Oh, I'm sorry, boys. It arrived the same day as my subscription to Celebrity Skin.
I really thought Mulder would be more of a gigantic asses kind of guy. Yes, the lone gunmen are back to help with the case, but Frohickey can't go 5 seconds without commenting on Scully, even though she isn't actually there.
She's tasty. You know, Frohickey, it's men like you that give perversion a bad name.
The guys tell Mulder that the substance he found, called LSDM, is an experimental pesticide that invokes an insect's fear receptors when it lands on a plant, causing it to fly off. They show Mulder old footage of the government spraying people with DDT, a pesticide the government claimed was safe, but turned out to cause cancer and other various illnesses.
They convinced local officials it was even safe to spray on children. Took a decade of bureaucratic and industry heel-dragging before it was banned.
If there's one thing you can always trust, it's your government. Mulder borrows some night vision goggles from Frohickey to do a little snooping, and he may have also given Frohickey Scully's number in the process, which I already have from the episode Ghost in the Machine. Mulder hears a noise in the distance, so he drives closer to get a better look. And it looks like Scully's here to help with whatever the hell that helicopter sprayed Mulder with. This jackass Larry, though, thinks Mulder is a nutjob, and he would never spray anyone with any kind of illegal pesticide.
There's no proof whatsoever the spray caused violent behavior. It was proven to me to be safe.
By who? Who proved it to you?
Or I guess he did and just believed someone's word that, no, it's perfectly fine to spray food with a chemical that turns people into violent psychos. Scully, of course, takes Larry's side, saying she can't find any evidence that the LSDM has affected him in any way.
Are you familiar with subliminal messages?
You mean like sex and ice cubes of liquor ads? That's paranoia.
Mulder believes the LSDM was causing a fear response in all the victims, exacerbating their phobias to such a degree that they were seeing messages in electronic devices that would help alleviate these fear receptors.
Mulder, I was wrong. Exposure to the insecticide does induce paranoia.
Mulder believes the entire thing to be a controlled experiment, but conducted by who? Well, who the hell knows? But it's not the first time a government has experimented on its own people.
Fear. It's the oldest tool of power. If you're distracted by fear of those around you, it keeps you from seeing the actions of those above.
So basically, every mainstream news outlet and social media company. The sheriff returns after having had a little chat with Larry, and Larry will cease the spraying of the LSDM and give blood tests to all those who've come in contact with it, but the catch is that the official explanation for the testing will not be linked to the side effects of the LSDM. Ed is home watching some TV, and he really does not like the sight of blood. What are the odds that a guy that doesn't like blood has a volunteer come to his door for a blood donation? I'm sorry, but if she keeps ringing that damn bell like that, then he may have justification. I don't know about anyone else, but I always typed boobs into my calculator. The agents are at the local PD, where they're given a list of all those who may be infected with the LSDM, and our buddy Ed is next in line.
Door's unlocked.
While the door's unlocked, that clearly means walk right in. The agents peruse Ed's place and he's nowhere to be found, but all of his electronics are good and smashed up, and it appears as though he didn't leave alone. Mulder, being Mulder, puts it all together, noting the time the blood tester was there and the time on his broken watch.
Wait for the next stop.
Please, I'm on the wrong bus.
Wait for the next stop.
On the door.
The bus pulls up to the local hospital, but Ed already got off before he could be apprehended. The bus driver tells Mulder he let him off at the local college, and again, what are the odds the college is having a blood drive? Now, we all know what he's up to, but if he's afraid of blood, why would he do something that would only cause more blood? I feel like he's just gonna make things worse for himself. Ed has now gone and lost his goddamn mind. Mulder races his way to the top, and the klutz trips over his own feet. Mulder makes it to the top and pulls his weapon on Ed, telling him to drop his. Ed is taken down and taken away in an ambulance, but he's looking kinda rough, like he's a zombie from Dawn of the Dead. Mulder then places a phone call to Scully, but this seems kind of uncalled for. Blood is a fine episode for Season 2. Nothing amazing, but it's enjoyable. It's always nice to have the lone gunman back, even if only for a brief moment. And they are really doing anything they can to get Scully involved, even though they aren't working together anymore. Which makes me wonder why at the end was she suddenly on the case with Mulder when she should be teaching a class. The thing with this episode is it's not much of an X-File because these things have already been going on in real life. There have been many instances around the world of normal, innocent people being unknowingly tested on by their governments, so this really isn't out of the realm of possibility. Blood currently sits at a 7.5, and I think that's fair. Writer Robert Shearman, in his book Wanting to Believe, was critical of the episode, saying, "I don't think this really works," which is a pity, because it's a clever idea and a witty script. The problem may just be that it's too complex a premise to be explored within a single episode. But he still managed to give it a 3 out of 5 stars, so it can't be that bad. After his stint as the Fluke Man in the episode The Host, Darren Morgan would go on to devise the story for this episode with a little help from his brother Glenn Morgan and writing partner James Wong. But because of scheduling conflicts, he was unable to write the episodes, so his brother and Wong took over writing duties. The writers thought combining the idea of postal workers and the spraying of a pesticide that makes people go nuts was kind of satirical. Chris Carter, however, wanted an episode that would revolve around digital readouts like fax machines or cell phones because he wanted to make everyday items seem scary. Glenn Morgan had no desire revealing who or what was leaving these subliminal messages and wanted it to be up to the viewer to decide on their own. Darren came up with the idea of Ed having a fear of blood and being driven mad by it from his own brother's hematophobia. The scene at the end with Ed firing upon the campus from the tower was taken from a real-life event. In 1966, Charles Whitman took the lives of 14 people atop a University of Texas clock tower. However, compared to how this episode ended, Charles Whitman didn't come out of it alive. The idea of using this as a focal point in the episode was because it was deemed as a fairly common thing people joke about when stressed at work. However, try joking like that today and see what happens. The scene, however, was derided by fans online, and not because it was in poor taste, but because it was seen as too cliché. The constant doorbell ringing that drives Ed off the deep end is actually kill done in Morse code. The actress that played the woman in the mechanic shop was played by a woman named Ashlyn Gear. Now you might be thinking, why would he bring up someone who was barely in the episode and had such an insignificant role? Well, it turns out she was an active adult film star. But just to be sure, I think I'm gonna have to do some more investigating. Oh yeah, she's definitely in the adult film industry, that's for sure. And it's odd because 99% of her credits are all adult films, with a few random movies and TV shows thrown in like Willard, The One, and a couple episodes of Millennium. But the rest? Yeah, that's too hot for YouTube. Ed was played by William Sanderson, and the funny thing about him is he goes from playing a guy with a huge phobia of blood to playing a sheriff in the HBO vampire series True Blood. Blood is a decent episode with a unique premise. If you haven't seen it before, I would say check it out. Anyways, that's all for now, folks, but don't go far, as next up is Sleepless, featuring Candyman himself, Tony Todd. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, then think about becoming a subscriber. Please like the video and let me know what you think of the episode Blood. Thank you all for watching, and stay spooky.
No one knows how.
This area is being subjected to a controlled experiment.
By the government?
No one knows why.
Whatever's going on here is way over our heads.
But something is turning ordinary people
Put it down! I can't. They won't let me.
into cold-blooded killers. The X-Files, Friday at 9, 8 Central.